विश्वं दर्पण दृश्यमान नगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्बोधभूतं यथा निद्रया यत्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोध समये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये दूर्वादलद्युतितनुं तरुणाब्जनेत्रम् हेमाम्बरं वनविभूषणभूषिताङ्गम् कन्दर्पकोटिकमनीयकिशोरमूर्तिम् पूर्तिं मनोरथभुवां भज जानकीशम्. All right, so let me share my screen. Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. We begin with our weekly Manas. We are entering a very exciting territory now, which is the whole story of Shivji, Parvatiji, the killing of Kama, and their marriage. So, a quick summary of where we have been so far.
Sorry to interrupt you. Santosh, we don't see you.
Oh, sorry. Am I visible now? Yeah, okay. Hi. Yeah. So, so far we have seen that Goswami ji is taking us through a text which he calls the Rāmacaritamānasa, but there is no sign of Sri Ram really coming on the scene. I mean, we did have that classic meeting of Hari and Hara, of Shivji and Sri Ram, but then the birth of Ram, the whole pious story is yet to come. So what Goswamiji is doing, I think we all know that by now pretty well, is he's preparing our mind, he's clearing the ground, he's laying the foundation for us to be receptive to this whole story of the Ramayana. And in this section, we are working on three Durgunas, which is Moha, Mada, and Kama. So Moha was represented by Sati in the form of her doubts. Mada or intoxication was Daksha, and he was beheaded by Virabhadra. And now Kam is undharmic lust or desire that goes out of control. And that is now going to be burnt by Shivji. Since we are in the Ramayana zone, I don't think any one of you all can blame me of giving away the plot, because everyone knows the plot. So we all know that Kama is going to be burnt, and hence he's called Ananga. So now we'll get to the story of last time. Just a quick summary. So Sati had doubt. Shivji tried to convince her. She's not convinced. She goes and takes the test of Sri Ram herself. She comes back, goes to her father's yagya uninvited. She's angry that she and her husband are disrespected there. Self-emulates. Shivji gets out of control, is angry, forlorn, moves with her corpse that is then broken down into pieces by Vishnu's disc to get Shivji under control. Those body parts fall at 108 places according to the Devi Bhagavat, but now we say that there are 51 or 52 Shakti Pithas, where these body parts have fallen with immense spiritual potency. Then Sati is reborn in the house of the Himalayas and has already pre-decided to marry Shivji. Narad Muni just acts as a catalyst by saying she has everything that can be correct about a daughter. There's only one little blemish, which is she's going to have a slightly abnormal husband. And then the only way to fix it is to find those abnormalities in such a person where these abnormalities change to good qualities. So the only person available is Shivji. The mother is not convinced. She says, I really would like my daughter to stay a spinster. I'm not too keen to marry her off to such a whimsical character as Narad ji has described him. Parvati ji explains to her mother saying, it's okay, I've given my heart to him. She then goes into a long penance. We then saw that she has a dream. She explains that dream to her parents, and then the parents are convinced and let her go to the penance. We also saw that in that penance, she hears an Akashvani or Brahmagira. In my view, that is the voice of Sri Ram himself. I am just following a particular commentarial tradition here. And then Sri Ram meets Shivji and prods him to get out of his meditative trance and get ready for the marriage of Parvati ji. That very Brahmavani has told Parvati ji that when the 7 rishis come to you, be sure that the marriage is going to happen. And at the moment when Sri Ram leaves Shivji, after they have met, at that very moment, the Saptarshis appear in front of Shivji and they are asked by Shivji to go and take the test of Parvati ji's love. So that's the story that we had completed thus far. We had read Chaupai Doha block 79 of the Bāla, but we had not completely unfolded it. So I'll begin with the reading of that Doha Chaupai block and then we'll start unfolding it. So Doha Chaupai Doha block number 79. दच्छ सुतन उपदेश निजाई तिन्ह फिरी भवनुन देखाई चित्र के तुकर घरु उन घाला कनक कसिपु कर पुण्य सहाला नारद सिख जे सुनहि नर नारी अवसी हो ही तजी भवनु भिखारी मन कपटी तन सज्जन चीन्हा आपु सरिस सब ही चहकीन्हा तेहि के बचन मानि विश्वासा तुम चाहु पति सहज उदासा निर्गुण नीलज कुबेस कपाली अकुल अगेह दिगंबर ब्याली कहु कवन सुख अस बरु पाए भल भूलि ठग के बौराए पंच कहे शिव सती विवाही पुनि अवडेरी मराए निताही अब सुख सोवत सोचु नहीं भीख मागी भव खाही सहज एकाकिन के भवन कबहु किनारी खटाही दच्छ सुतन उपदेशनि जाई. So now the 7 rishis are saying Parvati, so they've come based on Shivji's discussion with them. They've come to chit chat with Parvati. They see Parvati ji is in a deep meditation, and now they are telling her, you know what, Parvati, do you know that the same Narad Muni advised your father's children, which is your brothers from an earlier life, and they never returned back home. And that's the place where we had stopped last time. So we'll just do a quick detour of how Narad Muni kind of prodded the children of Daksha Sutta, or the children of Daksha Sutta, to give up their worldly joys and come to the spiritual realm. But that was not quite appropriate according to Daksha. So we had seen these verses last time, so I'll not go through them in detail. So Narad ji questions the rishis. Narad ji questions the rishis with some conundrums, saying, how can you become competent protectors and rulers before you have resolved some mysteries? What is that kingdom where there is only one man? What is that hole from which there is no escape once entered? And what is that woman who assumes many forms? What is that man who is the husband of an adulteress? Etc., etc. So we saw all that, and I had tried to summarize those questions in this presentation, and I had rushed through them last time. So basically what Narad Muni is saying is whatever is there in the Brahmanda is there in the Pinda. Whatever is there outside, the earth, the world, everything is reflected within you. Have you really turned your eye inward and reflected as to what your true nature is? You have not, and you are going out there to rule the world. Beware. And the boys are so smitten by Narad ji's advice. I mean, many of you all are students of Vedanta. You know what happens. It's a one-way street. There's no coming back. Once you are attached and locked onto these teachings, they are so mesmerizing that there is no looking back. It's a one-way street. We have that movie, A Streetcar Named Desire. So this is a streetcar named Vedanta. You only get in, there's no getting out. And it's a beautiful journey, of course. So that's what happens to these children. And Daksha is completely enraged, saying, what is this? I have been assigned the task to populate the earth. And now you have Narad Muni coming in and just taking my children away, 1,000 of them, on the spiritual path. I'm going to create another 1,000 of them. So this is this whole functioning of want. It never satiates. 1,000 children and you want 1,000 more. He produces them. And they again start going along the same path down the river Sindhu. And they come at a particular place on that river. And they start meditating. And again, Narad Muni does the same thing. So it's, history repeats itself, so to say. And they are told the same thing. They get on the spiritual path again. And what is interesting in this story, so these are the 25 objects from which this whole universe is created. That's one of the answers that Narad Muni gives. That will be a complete digression because, if we start talking of the Tanmatras and the Panchikaran Vidhi, that itself will take 1.5 hours. So this is whoever wants to, refer to this, it's there on the recording. So you all can refer to this. So Narad Ji talks about this city with 25 people, and it is nothing but this Panchikaran of the 25 Prakritic things that shape up the whole universe. And then the father, Daksha, says, oh Narada, you did that once. You're doing it another time to my 1,000 kids. And he creates a lament, which is also worthy of reflection. He says a person cannot truly understand the sharp, painful sting of material sense gratification without experiencing it directly for themselves. So we have to go on this path on our own. We have to learn it the hard way, as they say. You cannot learn swimming by seeing someone else swim. You cannot learn swimming by watching YouTube videos, by reading the best literature available. You have to jump in the water. So that's exactly what Daksha is saying, that my kids, if they would have done a self-choice and said, I'm going on this path, that's totally fine. But you somehow, through your sweet words, took them away. And I don't even know whether they were really motivated for that. And they might slip around this path because they are just listening to your words and going there. So I'm not too happy with what you did. Real lasting detachment arises naturally from one's own mature experiences. It cannot be forced upon someone whose mind has merely been swayed or artificially changed by the arguments of others. So in this story, it's not only Narada who takes the children on the path of spirituality, but I find it equally poignant and important what Daksha is saying. He's not saying they should not go because they have to populate the earth. He's saying that they should have, that calling should be from within. And you didn't even test that, and you just gave what you had to them, and I'm not too happy with it. So the Saptarshis are now telling Parvati ji that, look, it is that Narada who destroyed 2,000 children of your father, whose job was to populate and take care of the earth, and they have become sannyasis. What else did he do? So now he tells us the story of Chitraketu. So that's a very interesting story. And again, we are going to question something very important there as to what's the whole function of time over here in the story of Chitraketu. So let's just park this question of time. It will automatically get addressed when we talk about Chitraketu. So Daksha Sutanha Upadesan hi jai, tinha phira bhavanu na dekha, they didn't return home. This Narada converted people who were supposed to marry and populate the earth into sannyasis, and you're listening to his opinion. You're falling trap to his sweet words saying, marry Shivji. Remember, he's a dangerous person. Chitraketu kara gharu una ghala. He destroyed the house of Chitraketu. Now, what is the story of Chitraketu? And then Kanaka Kasipu kara puni asahala. So I'll complete the Kanaka Kashipu or the Hiranyakashipu story first, because we've gone through the beautiful paintings of the whole Hiranyakashipu Prahlada cycle. So all of you all remember that story. So Prahlada, when he was in his mother's womb, the mother was taught the teachings of Bhagavad Dharma by Narad Muni. And through the teaching given to the mother, it entered Prahlada's very young mind while he was in the womb of his mother, and he was born a bhakta. And Hiranyakashipu, of course, was not Hiranyakashipu, Kanakakasipu. Hiranyakashipu was, of course, a demon. So he was not at all happy with his son being a Bhagavata. and he hit a pillar and said, "Is your divinity here?" And Narasimha, the male lion form, arose from that, neither inside nor outside, nor man, nor animal, not during day, not at night. So at the dawn, not inside, not outside. So at the evening time, at dusk, not dawn, sorry, at dusk, he came out from the pillar that was the boundary between the inside and the outside of the house, half man, half lion, and tore open the guts of Hiranyakashipu. And that's the story of Prahlada. So now the Saptarshis are saying, look what happened. I mean, Narada taught Prahlada, who turned upon his own father. You have these 2,000 children not listening to their own father. And now you have Chitraketu, who also fell to the teachings of Narad Muni. And look what happened to him. His entire house was destroyed. And somehow Parvati ji is involved in the story of Chitraketu. So it's a beautiful it's not a digression, but it's a beautiful exegesis of this particular sentence that we'll now take through a presentation. So let's just see the story of Chitraketu now. What's happening with Chitraketu? All right. So, where are we? Yeah. So Chitraketu basically is a king whose son dies. Yeah. And he is lamenting the loss of a son, and pop comes Narad Muni. And he teaches Chitraketu a few things, consoles him, and he brings his son back to life. And Chitraketu is completely taken in by this, but the son teaches his father saying, okay, I'll be alive for a few days, but ultimately we are all transient beings. Each one of us has to die. The very meaning of being born is to die. And this son then starts teaching the path of the soul eternal to his own live father. So it's a beautiful, framing of your own seed coming back to you in the form of the eternal, and the child is the father of man in a spiritual context also. So Chitraketu's son then teaches his father and goes away, and then Chitraketu is completely taken in by this, that why couldn't he see something that his dead son could? And then he becomes a bhakta. But being a bhakta, his pride is still not destroyed because he's a king. So he says, I am primus inter pares, as they say. I'm the first amongst bhaktas. I'm the most prominent of bhaktas. And in that teaching, when Narada consoles him, the son is brought back to life. Chitraketu then says, okay, I think I was wrong in mourning the death of my son beyond the point, because everything is transient. Dukkha is natural, but I need to get out of it and move on. At that time, he gets into a tapas, and then divinity talks back to him. And there's a beautiful verse in that dialogue between divinity and Chitraketu, which I've got here. What is it about? Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya kurvate dampati kriyaha tato nivrittir apraptir dukkhasya cha sukhasya cha. Any couple that engage with each other, a husband and wife, a dampati, work together and perform various activities or kriya with the explicit goal of attaining material happiness and finding relief from distress. However, the actual result of their endeavors is entirely opposite. There is neither the cessation of their distress nor the attainment of their desired happiness. So any couple that comes together to fulfill material wants, wants more wants, gets into anger and fight if those wants are not fulfilled, and any relationship based on the materiality of things has to break, and the materials themselves will vanish. And Chitraketu also becomes a sannyasi. He gives it all up. Now, one day, while he has given up his kingdom, he's wandering around and he sees on the mountain Shiva and Parvati in an eternal embrace of love. And he laughs at them, saying, you are the deities. You are the ones who are supposed to teach us. Look at me. I've lost my son. My son came back and taught me things, and you have not really got out of your desires. And Parvati is extremely angry and curses Chitraketu, saying, how dare you say this? And Chitraketu is cursed to be born as a demon, again as Vritrasura. So the demon Vritrasura is basically Chitraketu that is cursed by Parvati. And Parvati ji tells Chitraketu, Ayam ke madhuna loke shasta dandadhara prabhu asmat vidhanam dushtanam nirlajjanam cha viprakrutah. So she says, how has this man become the supreme master, ruler and chastiser in this world? Has he been appointed to curb and punish those like us whom he considers wicked and shameless? So the whole relativity of expression of love, so beautifully encountered and documented in this story. Parvati is sitting with Shivji in a public embrace, and Chitraketu is laughing at her because of his pride, saying, look what I have learned and look what you are doing. And Parvati ji goes on, Naveda dharmam kila padmayonir na brahma putra bhrugunardadyaha navai kumara kapilo manushcha yeno nishedhyantya tivartinam haram. So it appears that Lord Brahma, who's been looking at us, his exalted sons headed by Bhrigu and Narada, who have also seen us, the four Kumaras, Lord Kapila and Manu, do not actually understand religious principles. For none of them have ever challenged or checked Lord Shiva, even though he openly sits in an assembly violating established codes of public etiquette, which is this eternal union of Shiva and Shakti. But you seem to have a problem with it because you have not understood that principle. So I curse you. You will be born as a demon again. That's the story of Chitraketu. But hello, Parvati is yet to marry Shivji. And she's sitting in an eternal embrace with Shivji, and the Saptarshis are telling her what even happened to time. So again, this is an eternal pair in eternal union, and we can only slice and dice it in our understanding of the myth of time. This sounds very theoretical, but once you encounter it through a story, it makes us wonder, okay, but Parvati ji is yet to marry Shivji. Then when were they married and sitting in a kisi koi aur ek kalp ki ye katha hai. So once upon a time, many eons ago, this story has happened. It is going to repeat itself, is one view of it. The other view of it, it is an eternal embrace of love, on which is the basis of our very existence. It never ceases to be. And if we understand it as material lust, we are basically carrying the pride of Chitraketu. So this is what happened to Chitraketu. And the Saptarshis now get back to Parvati ji, saying, I've told you the story of what happened to Chitraketu. I've told you the story of what happened to Kanakakasipu. And I've also told you the story of what happened to your own brothers. And still you wish to follow this, fellow called Narad Muni. Why are you doing it? Narada sikhaje sunahi naranari avasa hohi taji bhavanu bhikhari. So all the men and women who listen to Naradji's teaching, they definitely give up their own houses and start wandering in the world as beggars. Is this what you want to be, O Parvati? Manakapati tana sajjana chinha. His mind is very deceitful, Narada's. Kapde to bade अच्छे पहनता है, लेकिन उनके मन के ठिकाने का पता नहीं. Apu sarisa sabahi chahakina. He wants to make everyone like him. Simply because he's a Muni and moving around without any house, he's not too happy to see anyone settled. He wants to convert them and make them like him. Tehi ke bachana mani biswasa tumha chahahu pati sahaja udasa. And it is this Narad's Muni's words that you have, fallen prey to. And you are wanting a husband who is anyhow disinterested in everything. Nirguna, he is devoid of any qualities, or he is beyond the Trigunas. Nilajja, he has no sense of shame. We saw that eternal embrace of Shivji and Parvati ji that Chitraketu laughs at. He has no sense of shame. He has nothing to hide. Kubesha, he is having a bad dress. Kapali, he carries these skeletons of human beings in his neck. Akula, we don't know what his family is. Uska kul kya hai, hame kuch pata nahi. Ageha, he has no home. He sits on a mountain. Digambara, he's almost nude, just wraps a little loincloth around his waist. Byali, he has snakes around his neck. Is this the person you want as a husband? Because Narad Muni has told you, who's destroyed the house of three? No. Kahahu kavana sukhu asabaru paye. Who will get happiness if someone marries, a persona non grata like this? Bhala bhuli uthaga ke bauraye. You are so naive. You've been lost by the sweet words of Narada. Listen to us. We are 7 of us. We are telling you not to marry him. Pancha kahe siva sati bibahi. This very Shiva at once upon a time married Sati because he was forced by people to marry her, by panchas, by a committee. So these panchas is in the commentarial tradition talked of as all the devas together. There's a very interesting commentary that I found that says Panch is 5. It means the 4 heads of Brahma and 1 head of Vishnu. So Brahma ji and Vishnu ji ये 5 सिरों ने शिव जी से प्रार्थना की कि आप कृपया सती जी से विवाह करें, which is why he married her. So Panch is the community of gods, or the 5 heads of the 4 of Brahma and 1 of Vishnu. Pancha kahe siva sati bibahi. So he was not really keen to marry. किसी ने बता दिया कर दिया. पुनि अवडेरी मरायनी ताही. And then he stayed in his own meditation. He let his wife go where he knew that she is going to be insulted and let her kill herself. So he's not really that loving and caring husband you think him to be. He's like, jo hona hai so hone do. He's not bothered. And why are you wanting to marry him? Ab sukha sovat sochu nahi, bhikha mangi bhava khahi. Not only that, now he's not bothered about his own happiness. He's moving around with a begging bowl everywhere and feeding on whatever comes his way. Is such a man going to take care of you? Sahaja ekakinha. By default, his nature is to be alone. And in the house of such a person, can any woman be happy, O Parvati? So they are using every trick in their bag to convince her not to marry Shivji. And now let's see what happens next. So Chaupahi Doha block number 80. Ajahu manahu kaha hamara. Yeah, sorry, Sajali. Yeah.
Just a quick clarification. So all this is being done by the rishis because Shivji said, go and check out how much, I mean, her extent of love for me, correct?
Yes. And it is a Leela that is expressing itself because remember, she was doubt personified. So the test is a tool used to show what happens when doubt is cast away, when Shraddha starts building in. Just see how Parvati ji is reacting now. All right. Anything else? You're on mute, Preeti. Yeah.
Sorry. I would just want to say that, when Daksha Prajapati curses Narad Muni, one of the things he also says is that, therefore, you will never rest anywhere for too long.
Yes.
You will constantly do Brahman of the Brahmand. And he takes this curse, apparent curse, as actually a boon, saying that this is perfect, actually. This is exactly what I want.
So basically, because of that curse, he becomes peripatetic. He's always moving from one place to another. A wandering monk, as they say. And that's how Narad Muni is always depicted. So I think, Sajali, a few sessions back, you had said that, it's not always considered positive. And that's absolutely right. But he has also gone through his own cycle of austerities, killing of pride, etc. So he's a rishi nonetheless. But an open book. We know what all has happened with him. Yeah.
And the other thing is about Chitraketu, which is one of the episodes I absolutely adore in the Bhagavad. Is that, according to what my guru had explained to me, is that when Chitraketu becomes a Gandharva and sees the glories, and then he moves to higher realms, and he encounters Shiva Parvati in this loving embrace in front of rishis and so on, and he's so offended. And according to my guru, this is the Agyasthan, this is where the union is happening, and he was so close to emancipation, but because of that tinge of pride, he falls.
Yeah.
So that's, and this is the sthan, it's in some ways of Parvati ji. So whereas Shiva stays very quiet and says that, see, and Chitraketu, when he was cursed, he takes the curse on board. He had all this, according to the Bhagavad, he had all the powers to curse her back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But he doesn't. And Shivji says, this is what Vishnu's devotees are like,
Yeah.
So, anyway, Chitraketu, then of course, when he becomes the demon, and that is another episode which is fabulous. You remember the last
he becomes Vritrasana. So I'm not taking that, otherwise we'll be digressing too much. I had to take the episode just to make sure we know what the story is. But since you said Chitraketu takes that, let's read this, since you brought that up. So Chitraketu then replies back to Parvati ji. He's cursed to be born a demon Vritrasura, and he replies back, Guna pravaha etasmin kashapa konvanugraha kasvargo narakah kova kim sukham dukhameva va. So in his pride also, he's fully aware of the transient nature of the curse itself. And he replies back, in this material world, which is nothing but a constantly moving current of the modes of nature, the gunas, what is the ultimate meaning of a curse, O Parvati? And what is a blessing? What is the difference between heaven and hell? What is true happiness and what is genuine distress? It's nothing. I accept it with grace, whatever curse you have to give me. And I'm more than happy as a blessing to be born as Vrtrasura. So that's exactly what Preeti was referring to. So Chitraketu becomes a Vidyadhara, and this is the reply he gives to Parvati ji. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I forgot to mention that. All right. So as I said, the Bhagavata, you never know on what turn it will come up with what story, and you know, the moment you start digging deeper, it just gets more and more beautiful. Okay. So Chaupai Doha, block number 80. अजहू मानहू कहा हमारा, हम तुम्ह कहूँ बरु नीक बिचारा, अति सुंदर सुचि सुखद सुशीला, गावही वेद जासु जस लीला, दुखन रहित सकल गुण राशि, श्रीपतिपुर वैकुंठ निवासी, असबरु तुम्हि मिलाउ आनी, सुनत भी हसी कह बचन भवानी, सत्य कहेहु गिरि भव तनु एहा, हठन छूट छूट बरु देहा, कनक पुनि पाखान ते होई, चारे हूँ सहजन परिहर सोई, नारद बचन न मैं परिहरऊं, बसऊ भवनु उजरऊं नहीं डरऊं, गुर के बचन प्रतीति न जेहि, सपने हूँ सुगमन सुख सिद्धि तेहि, महादेव अवगुण भवन, विष्णु सकल गुण धाम, जेहि कर मनोरम जाहि सन, तेहि तेहि सन काम, अजहू मानहू कहा हमारा. O Parvati, it is still not late. You still have time to turn the tide. Caesar has still not crossed the Rubicon, as it were. Don't say yes to the marriage. Ajahu, still, you have time. Listen to what we are saying. Hama tumha kahu baru nika bichara. We have thought of another wonderful man for you to marry too. We are not going to let you be alone. Ati Sundar, he is excessively handsome. Suchi, neat and clean. Sukhada, a joy, a pleasure to look at. Susila, and having all this, still of good character. Gavahi Veda Jasu Jasalila, and the Vedas never cease to sing his glories. Such is a man we found for you. Dusana Rahita, he is without blemish. Sakala Gunarasi. Shivji is Nirgun. He is a storehouse of all qualities. Shripati, he is the husband of Lakshmi, or the master of Lakshmi, with a lot of wealth. Pura Vaikuntha Nivasi, and his residence is none other than Sakshat Vaikunt, resplendent with all the wealth that one can wish for. Asabaru tumhahi milau baani. We have, if you say, aapko bas haan bharni hai, we have the power to get such a man as your husband. So this whole text has a subtext of agency, free will, parental force, conviction. We'll start unfolding one layer after the other. Today we are going to do the Hartalika story also. So asabaru tumhahi milau baani. We'll get this man for you. Aap bas haan bharo. Sunata bihasi kaha bachana bhavani. And the mother just sniggered, and not sniggered, she just kind of gave a little smile because she respected the Saptarshis and replied, Satya kahehu giri bhavatanu eha. Earlier, the Saptarshis had told her that, you know, you're born from a Pashan. And she says, and now look at Parvatiji's reply. You're right, O Saptarshis. I am indeed born of stone from a mountain. Hathana chuta chute barudeha. I will not give up the man I have wed in my mind, even if I have to let go of my body. And it is right that you have called me dumb as being born of stone and a mountain. Kanakaupuni pakhanate hoi. Even gold mines are found only in a stone mountain. Jare hu sahajuna parihara soi. it can be burnt, but it doesn't lose its shine. So you're right, I am indeed born of stone, but I am that gold in this stone mine and quarries of the Himalayas. So don't underestimate me. Narad Bachanana मैं परिहर हूं. I will not let go of Narad Muni's words. Basau bhavana ujarau nahi dara हूं. Let it be that he doesn't have a house. Let it be that I have to give up all the glories of the Himalayas and be a wandering wife with the Shivji who has no home. No problem. I am not scared of that. Gurake bachana pratiti na jehi sapanehu sugamana sukha siddhitehi. The one who gives away the order and the words of his guru, how can he or she even imagine to be happy? And Narad Muni came to me first, gave me this teaching. I love this man. So sorry. I mean, I respect you, but this ain't happening, as they say. I'm only going to marry Shivji. Mahadeva avaguna bhavana. And it's not blind faith. She's acknowledging, I know that Mahadev is a storehouse of the lack of gunas or bad qualities. Nararunda, he's wearing skeletons, having snakes. So he's a storehouse of many interesting things. Vishnu Sakala Gunadham. And I also know that Vishnu ji is very prim and proper, a joy to look at with a lot of wealth. Jehikara Manu Ramajahi. In that one in whose my mind is attached, Tehi Tehi Sanakam. I have worked only with him. I love him. So all this that you are doing is pure play noise. It has no meaning to me, because if you love a person, uske gun aur durgun kya dekhne hai? You know, आप नारियल जैसे तोल के लेते हो, पानी की आवाज खनक आ रही कि नहीं, वैसे तो आप प्यार करते नहीं हो. If you love a person, you love him or her. उसके गुण दोष क्या देखने हैं? Because that love is not a function of good and bad qualities. You either love a person or you don't. So I do understand what you're saying, but that's not going to make me turn back from my love for Shivji. And then I'll do this next Chopai Doha block, and then we'll open up for questions. And then she goes on, Jo tumha milate ho, and now she gets slightly acerbic. Jo tumha milate ho prathama muni sa, sunati hu sikha tumhari dhari si sa, ab main janmu sambhuhit hara, को गुण दूषण करे बिचारा, जो तुम्हारे हठ हृदय बिसेखी, रही न जाई बिनु किए बरेसी, तो कौतुक अनह आल सुनाही, भर कन्या अनेक जग माही, जन्म कोटि लगी रगर हमारी, बरहु संभुनत रहूं कुआरी, तजौन नारद कर उपदेसु, आपु कहि सत बार महेसु, मैं पा परऊं कहई जगदम्बा, तुम गृह गवन हूं भयउ विलंबा, देखी प्रेम बोले मुनि ज्ञानी, जय जय जगदम्बिके भवानी, तुम माया भगवान शिव, सकल जगत पितमा तू, नाई चरण सिर मुनि चले, पुनि पुनि हर सतदा तू, जो तुम मिलते हो प्रथम मुनि सा. So she says, oh Rishis, had you all met me before I had given my heart to Shivji, Sunatyu sikha tumhari dhari sisa. I am not dumb. I know everything that you're telling me about Vishnu ji. I would then have taken to heart what you are telling me. But too late. Just as you're saying, Ajahu, even now time is there, you're wrong. Caesar has already crossed the Rubicon, you're not getting it. There is no turning back now. I have already given my heart to Shivji. Somehow you are not getting it in your heads. Had you come earlier, I might have acceded to your request. Aba main janmu sambhuhitahara ko guna dusana kare bichara. Exactly what we were discussing earlier. Now I have given my life to Shivji. Am I now going to start keeping an account of his good and bad qualities? Is that how love works according to you? Is that what you're teaching me? No. Jo tumhare hata hrudaya bisekhi rahi na jai binu kiye baresi. अगर आपको दुनिया में विवाह जमाने का इतना ही शौक है, रही न जाई बिनु किए बरेसी, and if you can't stop yourselves from finding me a proper match, तो कौतुकिन आल सुनाही. So then, for those who are so keen, laziness is not really a particular quality that I would attribute to such people. Barakanya aneka jagamahi. There are so many other girls who are of marriageable age go and start telling them, if you're so keen to, couple pairs together, मैं ही मिली आपको, आप दूसरे के पास जाके उनको समझाइए और आप you become a matchmaker that you're so keen to become. Because if you're so keen about it, I'm sure you're not lazy. You'll definitely find a lot of people to make matches for. So please be my guest and go there. Janma koti lagi ragar hamari. I might go through 1,000 lifetimes, but if I don't get Shivji, I will remain a spinster. I will not marry. Tajahuna narada kara upadesu. I will not let go of the upadesh, the advice that Narad Muni has given me, because I myself have given my heart to Shivji. He's just stamped his approval on it. Apu kahahi satabara mahesu. Even if Shivji says 1,000 times, no, I will still ensure that I get him. So aap to kya bane? Aap to saptarshi hai. Shivji khud kahe 100 baar, not 1,000 times, satabara, 100 times. I will still have all it takes to convince him to marry me. तो आपकी तो बात ही छोड़ो, मैं पा परऊं कहई जगदम्बा. And then Jagadamba, after giving this back, falls at the rishis' feet, respecting their learned status. Tumha gruha gavanahu bhayau vilamba. And then she says, please go home, it's getting late. So Parvati, sitting in the forest, 7 men coming to tell her, marry Vishnu, saying, oh, now it's getting late, go home. Just look at the agency this woman is carrying. Tumha gruha gavahu bhayau vilamba. It's getting late now, go home. Dekhi premu bole muni gyani. And then the Munis realized their mistake, that this test that Shivji has put us to was actually a test for us. She's not going to budge. An inch, Jaya Jaya Jagadambike Bhavani. And then they realized who she is. You're Sakshat Jagad Ambika. The world is born out of your womb. Amba is mother, Jagat is the world. So you're the mother goddess, Bhavani. You're called Bhavani. And now we know exactly who you are. Tumha Maya, Bhagavana Siva. You are Maya, you're Prakriti. And Purusha is Shiva. And you, that eternal embrace of the two of you all makes you all the mother and father of the whole world. Nai charana sira muni chale. And the Munis also bowed back to Jagadamba. Puni puni harasatagatu. With their hairs standing on end. Any questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the next. Yeah. Yes.
Just one, you said so it was actually a test for the rishis, not so it's just about them being able to see the transition and who she is just now and what she stands for, right?
Exactly. So they just followed Shivji's command and now they realize, oh my God, he sent us for a test, but this marriage is inevitable. It was basically for us to understand the true nature of Jagadamba that we were asked to do this. And now they realize her full potency. The two of them are the mother and father of the world. And that also addresses the question of why they are in the eternal embrace, which Chitraketu failed to understand. These are the two primordial elements, Prakriti and Purusha. Okay, so Chaupai Doha block number 82. And now Satiji is now transformed into Parvati, expressing herself as Shraddha. And we are entering one of the most beautiful passages of the Bāla, apart from, of course, the marriage of Ram and Sita, which is the killing of Kama and the marriage of Shivji and Parvati ji. So, Chaupai Doha block number 82. Jai muninha himavantu pathaye karibinati giri jahi gruhalyaye bahuri saptarisi siva pahi jai कथा उमा कै सकल सुनाई भय मगन शिव सुनत सनेहा हरसी सप्तरिसी गवने गेहा मनुथिर करि तब शंभु सुजाना लगे करन रघुनायक ध्याना तारकु असुर भयउ तेहि काला भुज प्रताप बल तेज विशाला तेहि सब लोक लोकपति जीते भय देव सुख संपत्ति रीते अजर अमर सो जीति न जाई हारे सुर करी विविध लराई तब बिरंचि सन जाई पुकारे देखे विधि सब देव दुखारे सब सन कहा बुझाई विधि दनुजनि धन तब होई शंभु शुक्र संभूत सुत एहि जीतई रन सोई जाई मुनि न हिमवंतु पठाए So basically, now the Munis have reached Himavantu, the father of Parvati ji. Jai Muni na Himavantu pathai. And then they told Himavant about this whole penance of Parvati ji and said, please, Himavant, she's so adamant that nothing is going to happen. Go and fetch her back. Now, Goswami ji is doing a lot of commissioning and omissioning over here. So in the Shiv Purana Katha, or in some other Puranas, you basically have the story in which Narad Muni comes and says, what is this going on? You should actually wed her off to Vishnu. And then Shivji is in meditation anyhow. He's not going to marry this woman. But Goswami ji has omitted this story completely. So he's saying that everything happened by that Brahmagira. The Brahmagira in the form of Ram told Parvati. Then Ramji met Shivji and asked him to marry Parvati. He said yes. He accepted it. And then the Saptarshis were put to test. And now the Saptarshis go to the Himalayas and tell that go and fetch your daughter. That's the storyline framing that Goswami ji is doing. But there is another disruptive story to this. And let's now look at the Haritalika festival. So over here, what is happening is the Saptarshis have gone back to Himalayas and saying, okay, Parvati ji is going to marry Shivji. Please go and fetch her back. But there are other tellings in which Narad Muni goes to Himalaya. Himalaya says, O Narada, I welcome you. Tell me, what have you come here for? And he says, this is not a marriage to be. I want you to marry off your daughter to Vishnu because Shivji is in meditation. And then Himavanta is talking to, Himavanta is talking with his wife Mayana, and Parvati ji overhears this. And she runs away to the forest with a friend. Harit is taken away or stolen, and Alika is a friend. So Haritalika is a Bahuvrihi compound. That means the one that was taken away or stolen by her friend. So the Sakhi and Parvati. So now for those of you all who stay in the terrain of Maharashtra or Nepal, so it is very interesting that many festivals in the Kathmandu Valley in Nepal, like Nag Panchami, Haritalika, they carry a one-to-one resonance to the festivals in Western Maharashtra, which is kind of very strange considering their geographical separation and also the fact that these festivals don't have a common path in between. But this is a very popular festival in Nepal also, in Maharashtra also. So if you move around the markets of Bombay, Pune, wherever, you will see these little idol duos that come up for sale one day before Ganesh Chaturthi. And this is the Sakhi and Parvati ji that you see over here. And it is done as Haritalika Puja. So women pray to these two, the friend and Parvati ji, saying, give us the man that we want to marry in our dreams. Let us get a husband. If not in this life, then at least the next life, the man that we want. And Vata Purnima is to say, give us the man that we have in this life for 7 more lives. So again, one act of freedom is balanced by another act of duty. So it's so beautiful when we start interlinking all these stories. You know, every story has a parallel narrative. It has a subterrane of another narrative. So this is the subterrane of the Haritalika narrative. So Haritalika literally means the one that was taken away or stolen by her friend. So Parvati ji along with the Sakhi, the two of them escape into the forest. And they say, we are not going to be found out by our father until he agrees to marry me to Shivji. And the two of them go there and get into their meditation. Ab ye to Rajkanya hai, daughter of the Himalayas, wahan pe khaye kya? So they start eating fruit, leaves, shoots, and ultimately they start eating the dried leaves that have fallen down. The same story that we talked of last time. And then even they give that up, which is why she came to be called Aparna. So this story is the same. But in the first story, which Goswami ji picks up, she's gone there for meditation and penance to purify herself as a matter of joy. In the disruptive story of Haritalika, she is stolen by her friend to the forest because her father wants to marry her off to Shivji. She just runs away. She's saying nothing doing. And then ultimately the father goes into a tizzy. My daughter has run away. Where has she gone? Has she died? Has she lost? He keeps searching the entire kingdom, and ultimately they reach the place where Parvati ji is meditating with the Sakhi. And then she says, to whom are you going to marry me off? He says, Baba, ghar chalo, Shivji. Then she gives up the penance and comes back. So what do we make of this story now? It's up for grabs. The jury's out. So there's, as I said, every story moves in multiple layers. So you have scholars saying this is the domestication of freedom, the story of Sati converting to Parvati. But then there's another disruption pops up in the story of Haritalika. She is wanting to marry the man she likes, and she says, nothing doing. Until I get what I want, I'm going nowhere. I'm not budging an inch. And this is attributed, of course, many a times to the Bhavishyotter Puran. I have looked up many manuscripts of the not only printed version, manuscripts, but I could not really locate this story. When I was traveling in Nepal, I got a particular Vrata Katha. This Vedic Bidhanle Sanskar Garer is Nepali. And it says that these verses are taken from the Bhavishyotter Puran. But I have not seen a Bhavishyotter Puran manuscript that has this story. But many scholars say that koi to manuscript hai jisme ye Haritalika ki katha hai. The point is, whatever, so you have Vata Purnima on one hand, you have Haritalika on the other. Take your pick. Take both, take none. Do whatever you want. So there is no one single way. There's always a story, a narrative, a meta-narrative to connect all the stories, and a disruptive narrative to break all those stories. And all these interact together to create that miasma that we have of Indian culture. We don't know what lies behind the smoke screen. But that's the whole project. We have to slowly start unfolding these layers one after the other. So this is the story of Haritalika. Now going back, the Saptarshis have gone to Himalaya and are saying, we've visited your daughter, we've seen the kind of deep meditation that she's doing in. She wants to marry Shivji, so please go and get her back home. Karibinati Girijahi Gruhalai. I request you all, say the Saptarshi, we request you all to please go back and get her home. Bahuri Saptarishi Siva Pahi Jai. And then Saptarshi, to close the loop, go back to Shivji, who has actually commanded them to do all this. Katha Uma Kai Sakala Sunai. So now they become Kathakars and tell the whole story of Parvati ji to Shivji. So the Saptarshis are the 7 stars in the sky, always watching everything that is happening on. So any stories of separation and love are told by them because they also have the 2 stars of Arundhati and Vasishtha, which we saw last time. So every character becomes a narrator at some point in his life. Hanumanji tells the Katha to Sita. We saw that last time. Shivji is told of the Katha by Sri Ram himself. Then when they are moving around in the forest, there are so many people who tell Sri Ram all that has happened. Birds. Jatayu tells how he saw the whole taking away of Sita ji. So every character in the story takes the role of a Kathakar. And now the Saptarshis are telling Shivji, saying, Katha Uma Kai Sakala Sunai. Remember last time, Sri Ram was regaling Shivji with Shiv Puran Katha. And now the Saptarshis are telling Shivji the story of Uma, his to-be wife, in the Leela. They are an eternal pair. Bhaya Magana Siva Sunata Saneha. And listening to these stories of Parvati ji, Shivji went into a trance because that love deep within started oozing and started finding expression through the Saptarshis. Harashi Saptarishi Gavane Geha. And the Saptarshis were happy, saying, now we have got this divine pair, at least in this Leela together. And they went home, as was ordered by Jagadamba, saying, oh, it's evening now, it's getting late, you better get going and go home. Manuthira Karitaba Sambhu Sujana. And then Shivji quieted his mind, all this agitation that has been created in his mind through these stories of Uma, he quieted his mind, Lage Karana Raghunayaka Dhyana. And he says, Shri Ramji ne to adesh diya hai, marry Parvati ji. Ye Saptarshi ne bhi kahani bataya. What else have I then to do? Bhajan. And then he goes into singing the glories of Shri Ram. So Shivji has understood what has happened. He now knows that this marriage is to be and says, Jo hoga dekha jayega. And he gets back to his meditative trance. Taraku asura bhayau tehi kala. At that very time. So all this happens in not even a second. At that very time. Taraka asura bhayau tehi kala. At that very time, Tarakasur was born. Bhuja pratapa bala teja bisala. Very, very powerful, physically, mentally, emotionally. Tehi saba loka lokapati jite. He won all the lokas and their masters. So last time we had Tripurari, as in the form of Shiva. We saw how Tripurasur, the 3 demons, were killed by Shivji in the last session. Now, when Parvati and Shivji are about to get married, at that very moment, Tarakasur is born. And he has taken charge of all the worlds, of the heavenly, of the mortal, and of the nether worlds. Bhaya Deva Sukha Sampati Rite. And all the gods became devoid of their wealth and joy. And they go running to Brahmadeva. Please save us. Tarakasura is destroying us. Ajara amara so jeeti na jai, hare sura kari bibidha larai. He is not getting old. He is not losing his energy. He's Amar. He's almost like eternally youthful, and we cannot win him. Hare sura kari bibidha larai. And the gods started losing all battles that they were fighting with Tarakasura. Taba biranchi sana jai pukare. And then they went begging to Brahma, "Oh Brahma Deva, save us, save us, save us. Dekhe bidhi saba deva dukhare." And looking at the distress that the gods were in, Brahmadeva himself got very worried. And he told, "Sabasana kaha bujhai bidhi, danujani dhana taba hoi." He said, this Tarakasur can only be killed when Sambhu Sukra Sambhuta Suta. Sambhu, Shivji ke Shukra, seed se Sambhut Utpanna Suta Putra. So a son born from the seed of Shivji only will be able to kill Tarakasur. So Ram has already ordained the whole thing. He has told Shivji to marry Parvati ji and vice versa for love. And now the Bhagavad Gita says, Nimitta matram bhava savyasachit. The gods are just being nimitta matra. See, because for the divine play to unfold, you need to have that flash in the pan, as they say, or to have that first light or spark for the fire to set in. नहीं तो शिव जी ध्यान में बैठेंगे, 1000 साल बीते, 10,000 बीते, millions of years, that's a flash of a second for him. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? But because the gods want to have this Tarakasura killed, they just become a nimitta, as the Bhagavad Gita says. Savyasachi means ambidextrous. So, oh ambidextrous Arjuna, don't think that you are the one killing everyone. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. Just be a nimitta. Just be a causal reason for this whole thing to unfold. So the gods now have become the causal reason because they need a son born of Shiva's seed to kill Tarakasura. None of the gods can kill it. And a son can be born only if he is in eternal embrace with Parvati, which is why now the gods go to him. And now they want to find a trick to get, because he's now lost in his love trance, saying, oh, I've listened to the stories of Umaji. Now Shivji has already been told by Sri Ram that you're going to marry her. And he's saying, okay, now I'll just meditate and be lost in those stories of love. Now he has to be got out of that meditative trance. The marriage has to happen, from which a son will be born who can then kill Tarakasura. So he was called a Tripurari, right? Last time we saw that Tripurari was killed by Shivji. Who are the three sons that actually killed? That were actually killed in this. We had seen that story last time. And sorry, am I not sharing? I just want to bring this whole element of the fluidity of time. Yeah. So last time we saw that Tarakasura was killed by Kartikeya, son of Shiva. The children of Tarakasura are Tarakaksha, Kamalaksha, and Vidyunmali. Right? So they are the progeny of Tarakasura who are killed by Shivji. And Shivji is called Tripurari when he is being talked to by Narad to Parvati. अब ये इनकी शादी ही नहीं हुई है. इनकी शादी, इनके विवाह के पश्चात पुत्र का जन्म होगा. वो पुत्र तारकासुर का वध करेगा और वो तारकासुर के 3 पुत्र ये त्रिपुरासुर है. और नारद जी बोल रहे हैं शिवजी का नाम त्रिपुरारी है. सिमिलरली चित्रकेतु. सो भूत भविष्य बन जाता है, भविष्य भूत बने, वर्तमान भविष्य बने, वर्तमान भूत बने, क्योंकि काल की कल्पना ही मिथ्यावत है. The concept of time itself is relative, is fluid, and there is a question mark to it, which is how these stories move to and fro. All right. So I just brought this up because that reference of Tarakasur reminded me that Tripurasur is actually the 3 children of Tarakasur. And Tarakasur can be killed by the seed of Shiva, which is of course Skanda. Okay, so I don't want to complicate the story further, but I don't want to dilute it also. I think it's important to know the way time interplays over here, how every text has a subtext, a meta text, and how we connect the dots. Shivji is Nirgun, Vishnu is Sakala Gunadham. Now, Kam is going to be killed. Kam is reborn as the son of Vishnu in the form of Krishna as Pradyumna. How does all this work? How do we join the dots? We will unfold either today or next time. So going back to the Manas now. So we had done until Dohā Chaupai block number what? Dohā Chaupai block number
80.
82, Sambhu Sukra Sambhuta Suta. So now the gods have, at this very moment, when Shivji has gone into a trance after the Saptarshis have gone home and told him that Parvati ji loves you genuinely, he's gone into a trance of love, meditating upon the form of Raghupati and thinking about the glories of Jagadamba. At that very time, Tarakasura is born, has taken charge of the world, and the gods are begging Brahma to find the solution. Brahmaji says the only solution is that this fellow can be killed by a son born from Shivji. So he has to get married. Another reason. The reason born out of fear. Ram's reason is graced by love. So just see the difference of tenor. Ramji has said, you are an eternal pair, you have to get married because the foundation is love. They are having an ulterior motive saying, हमें तो वो कार्तिकेय चाहिए, लेकिन वो बनने के लिए they have to get married. So again, very different motives for their marriage to happen. And the gods over here are just, as I said, nimitta matra. They are just some reason, कुछ तो reason चाहिए, इसलिए वो आ गए. Okay, so चौपाई दोहा block number 83. मोर कहा सुनी करऊ पाई, होई ही ईश्वर करिहि सहाई, सती जो तजी दक्ष मघ देहा, जनमी जाई हिमाचल गेहा, तेहि तपुकी न शंभुपति लागी, शिव समाधि बैठे सब त्यागी, जदपि अहै असमंजस भारी, तदपि बात एक सुनहु हमारी, पठवहु काम जाई शिव पाही, करे क्षोभु शंकर मन माही, तब हम जाई शिव ही सिरनाई, करवाऊ बिबाहु बरियाई, एहि विधि भले ही देव हित होई, मत अति नीक कहै सब कोई, अस्तुति सुरन कीन्हि अति हेतु, प्रगटेउ विषम बाण झसकेतु, सुरन कही निज विपति सब, सुनि मन कीन्ह विचार, शंभु विरोधन कुशल मोहि, बिहसि कहेउ असमार, मोर कहा सुनी करहु पाई. So Brahmadeva then replies back to the god saying, the only recourse you have is to follow what I say. Hoi hi Ishvara karahi sahai. Only Ishvara, Shivji, can help you, not me, no one else. Sati jo taji daksha makhadeha. You think that Shivji is in deep sorrow because he's lost his wife and he's not going to marry anyone else. But remember that very Sati, now he's bringing the gods up to speed, as we say, with the story. He's saying that very Sati is born as Parvati ji. So he will marry her because she is Sati reincarnate. Janama jai himachala geha. So the gods have now come up to speed with the story. They've got a brain dump, as it were. Tehi tapuki na sambhupati lagi. And she has been meditating to get Shivji as her husband. So all the stars are now aligning. शिव समाधि बैठे सब त्यागी, लेकिन शिवजी तो समाधि लगा के बैठे हैं सब त्याग करके. So that can be slightly tricky. Jadapi ahai asamanja sabhari. So now there is some confusion. There is, whether Shivji will come out of that meditation, who can get him out of that meditation, the kind of person he is, unpredictable. You never know. So who will bell the cat, as we say. Tadapi bata eka sunahu hamari. But listen to what I have to say. पठवऊ कामु जाई शिव पाही. ये शिवजी जो मेडिटेशन करने बैठे हैं, send lust and desire. Kāmadeva, only he can get him out of that meditative trance. Karai chobhu sankara manamahi. And Kāmadeva, through his workings, will start agitating Shivji's mind. His eyes will open, and that's when we will pick him up to get married to Parvati. Because if we don't get out of him out of his meditation, even if Parvati ji wants to marry him, Shivji also has to come out of meditation. So the only way is we'll start rolling out the workings of lust and desire. We'll send Kāmadev over there to start agitating Shivji's mind. Shobhu is Shobh, agitation. Sankara manamahi. The mind, we want to agitate the mind of Shivji through the workings of Kam, so that he comes out of his meditation. Tabahama jai sivahi siranai. And when Kāmdeva has agitated Shivji's mind, because of which he loses his meditative trance, he will wake up and we'll grasp that opportune moment and pray to him saying, please, please, please marry Parvati ji. We need a son. of this wedding. Taba hama jai sivahi siranai karava uba vibaha baryai. And we will then forcefully and quickly marry him off to Parvati ji before he goes back into his meditative trance again. But Tarkasur can only be killed by a son born of Shiva. Shivji's meditation is so hard and deep that the only person who can bring him out is Kāṇḍa. So now the gods are running from pillar to post and they go to Kāṇḍa. Ehi vidhi bhale hi dev hit hoi, mata ati nika kahai sabu koi. And everyone says, yes, yes, this seems to be a good solution. Isse hamara hit hoga. Astuti surana kini ati hetu, pragatevu bishama bana jasaketu. All praise has a certain transactionality behind it. Most of it, not all. Astuti surana kini ati hetu. And because they had this reason in mind that they wanted the function of Kāmadeva to be put into action, they started singing the glories of Kāmadeva, and glorified Kāmdev appeared before them. Jhash Ketu. Jhash is a fish. Ketu is a flag. The one who has the fish as his flag, which is Kāmadeva, then appeared before them, and he has Bishama Ban. Ban is arrows. So Kāmadev is the god of love, and he is carrying arrows, or wo bhi Bisham. Bisham is odd. So basically, even an odd wala odd. So he has either 3, 5, 7. 5, basically 5. So the one who has the fish for his flag and who carries 5 arrows as his weaponry, that Kāmadeva appeared before the gods, pleased by the glories that they were singing of him. Surana kahi nija bipati saba suni mana keenha vichar. Now, Kāmadeva is mind born. His other name is Manasija. वो कामदेव जो मन में जन्मते हैं, उन्होंने अपने मन में विचार किया. Surana kahi nija bipati saba. The gods told about all their difficulties to him. Manakinha bichar, nija manakinha bichar. And then he listened and reflected in his own mind. The mind born reflected in his own mind. Sambhu birodhana kusalamohi. I don't think opposing Shivji's meditation is going to do me any good. Bihasi kaheu asamar. So he just gave a kind of regretful smile and replied back. Any questions so far? If not, we are now entering this whole episode of the killing of Kama, the third death. Moha, Sati, Mada, Daksha, and now Kama is going to meet his death soon, but through beautiful chandas and beautiful poetry. So, Chaupai Doha block number 84. So, Kāmadev is now replying back to the gods, or reflecting to himself. तदपि करब मैं काजो तुम्हारा श्रुति कह परम धर्म उपकारा परहित लागित जय जो देही संतत संत प्रशंसहिते ही अस कही चले उस बही सिरुनाई सुमन धनु सकर सहित सहाई चलत मार अस हृदय बिचारा शिव विरोध ध्रुव मरनु हमारा तब आपन प्रभाव विस्तारा निज बस कीन्ह सकल संसारा कोपेउ जब ही बारि चर केतु छन महु मिटे सकल श्रुति से तू ब्रह्मचर्य व्रत संयम नाना धीरज धर्म ज्ञान विज्ञाना सदाचार जप जोग विरागा सभय विवेक कटकु सबु भागा भागे विवेकु सहाय सहित सो सुभट संजुग महिमुरे सद ग्रंथ पर्वत कंदर निमहु जाई तेहि अवसर दुरे होनिहार काकर तार को रखवार जग खर भरु परा दुई माथ के हिरतिनाथ जेहि कहूं कोपी कर धनु सरु धरा जे सजीव जग अचर चर नारी पुरुष सनाम ते निज निज मर जाद तजी भये सकल बस काम तदपि करब मैं काजु तुम्हारा. And he's now reflecting to himself, saying, opposing Shivji is not going to do me any good, but the gods have requested me, so I will accede. So in spite of knowing the dangers, Kamji is saying, Tadapi karaba main kaju tumhara. I'll still nevertheless do as you prod me to do. Shrutikah parama dharma upakara. The Shrutis have always said that the highest form of dharma is paropkar, is to help others. So beautiful. Shrutikah parama dharma upakara. The highest teaching of the Shrutis, if any, is to help those in need. There is no other highest dharma. Parahita lagita jai jo dehi. Those that give up their own bodies for the sake of helping others. Santata santa prasansahitehi. The saints have continuously sung the glories of such people. So I have no shame or remorse if I indeed have to give up my body because I am helping the gods. Asaka hi chaleu sabai sirunai. And having said thus, he moved on, bowing down to everyone. Sumana dhanushakara sahita sahai. With his bow and arrows. We saw that he has a flag of fish and odd arrows. But the arrows, the heads of those arrows are flowers. Phul. The bowstring is bees. And that curvature of the bow, how is it called? The element through which the bow is built is sugarcane. So sugarcane का डंडा है, भंवर जो है भ्रमर, उसकी वो प्रत्यंशा है, and the flowers are the arrows. And Kāṇḍa, with his full weaponry, is going there to infuse the world with desire and lust. Sumana dhanushakara sahita sahai, chalatamara asarhudaya bichara. And Mar, thinking, thus moved on. Siva birodha dhruva maranu hamara. It is certain that I will die because I am opposing Shivji. But the Shrutis have taught me to do paropkar. And if I give up my body doing paropkar, so be it. So fully knowing that he's going to die, he moves on with his weaponry of flowers, sugarcane, a parrot as his chariot, and starts infusing with his friend Vasanta lust and desire in everyone's mind. Chalatamara asar hudaya bichara, siva birodha dhruva maranu hamara. My death is certain. Taba apana prabhav vistara. At that very moment, he started spreading his power. Nijabasakīnha sakala sansara. And the entire world he got under his control of desire and lust. Kopeu jabahi bari charaketu. So the one who had the fish as his flag, when he started agitating, Chanamahu mite sakala shrutiketu, all the bridges of the Shrutis started collapsing. So in this universe, in this world, if we want to get out of the trappings of the Shadripus, the bridge is that of the Shruti. And because Kāṇḍa has started doing his works, everyone's mind was so full of calm that the Shruti bridges started collapsing. Everyone drowned in the seas of passion. So which is why Goswamiji is saying, in an instant, mite sakala shruti setu. All the bridges of the Shrutis started dissolving. Brahmacharya vrata sanjamanana, all kinds of austerities, shama, dhamma, brahmacharya, celibacy. Everything that people were doing, dhiraja, a certain kind of persistence, dharma, do's and don'ts, jnana, knowledge, big jnana, resistance, understanding, sadachar, good behavior, japa, tapa, yoga, viraga, sabhaya viveka katakusa bubhaga. This entire army that was standing forth across the Shruti bridges, protecting dharma, protecting people from the Shadripus, seeing the agitation of Kama coming, seeing the bridges of Shrutis collapsing, they all ran away from the universe. Bhageu bibeku. When discretion and discrimination is gone, when it runs away, Sahaya Sahita so Subhata Sanjuga Mahimure. All the other warriors started collapsing. Sadagrantha Parabata Kandarani. All the good books, Bhagavad, Upanishads, Gita, Ramayana, all of them started hiding in the caves of the mountains, which is to say that their teachings remained only in the book. Everyone forgot what they had to teach. All the great Sadgranthas started hiding in the cavernous mountains. Sadagrantha Parabata Kandarani Mahu Jayitehi Avasaradure. Honihara Kakara Tarako Rakhavara Jagakhara Bharupara. And then everyone started getting afraid that people are in complete confusion, delusion, agitation. What will happen of this world? Who is that double-headed one? Because lust and desire are anyhow at work. why is Kamadev now bringing his entire armory? He's surely fighting a duel with someone not just having a one head. There has to be an opponent who is worthy of Kamadeva's doing. So who is he? Everyone started wondering. Duimatha, who is this double-headed one? He's definitely not having a single head, which is a dhvani or an indication to the 5 heads of Shiva. So basically, Kamadev is now attacking someone who's having more than one head, and hence he has to agitate the whole world because Shivji's mind has to be broken. So with this, now we have 15 more minutes. So I see, Ekta, your hand is raised up, but I just want to continue the flow of Kamadev, and then I'll come back to you. So Kamadev. Now we'll understand what this whole Kamadeva is. Before that, the gods have got together, and this verse from the Gita we already decided. Tasmat tvamuttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhokshvarajam samruddham mayaivaite nihata purvameva nimittamatram bhava savyasachin. So ambidextrous one, Arjuna, you are just a nimitta-matra. Don't think that you have the full agency. Similarly, Kam, the gods, they all are now just playing their little role in this as a cog in the wheel of the Leela to unfold the marriage of Shivji and Parvati ji. And Shivji has to be got out of agitation. And how is he going to be got out? Through Kamadeva. So a beautiful image of Kamadeva. You see the sugarcane bow. You see his flower arrows. You see parrot as his vehicle. Sweet calls of a parrot to agitate the mind further. And Sanskrit is a noun-rich language. So Kamadeva. Madano manmatho mara pradyumno meenaketanaha kandarpo darpako nanga Kama panchashara smaraha shambaranir manasija kusume shurananyajaha pushpadhanva ratipatir makaradhvaja atma bhuhu. All these are names of Kamadeva from the Amar Kosha, which we were made to mug up as kids. We never really succeeded in mugging up the whole Amar Kosh, but again, a very beautiful dictionary or thesaurus to mug up. So Madana, the intoxicating, exhilarating one. Manmatha, jo Ravi se, I don't know what a Ravi is called in Hindi, that the thing that you use to churn the buttermilk. So the one that agitates your mind, that churns your mind. Manmatha. Mathni. Jo man ka mathni se manthan karta hai. So he's Manmatha. Maraha, the destroyer. He himself is killed, but he also destroys us when not kept by the bounds of Shruti. The bounds of dharma. Pradyumna, we are going to see this. He's reborn as the son of none other than Vishnu. Meenaketana, the one who has a fish for his flag. Kandarpa, the passionate one. Darpakaha, pride. Love also has a lot of pride in it. Ananga, the bodiless one. He's burned by Shiva, so he becomes bodiless. Kama, desire personified. Panchasharaha, the one with 5 arrows. We already saw that. Smaraha, remembrance. All love is remembrance. If you have no memory, there will be no love. So he's also Smara. Shambarari, the enemy of the demon Shambara, whom he kills. Manasija, the mind-born one. Kama, lust, desire resides basically in our mind. Kusumeshu, flower arrowed. Ananyajaha, peerless, uniquely born. No one else is born of the mind as Kamadeva is. Pushpadhanva, the one who carries flowers for his bows. Ratipati, the husband of Rati. Makaradhvaja, again the same as carrying a fish for his flag. And Atmabhu, self-existent, self-born. He's an eternal principle, desire. What are the 5 flowers of his? So let us just look at some iconography of Kama. Aravindam ashokancha chutancha navamallika nilotpalancha panchaite panchabanasya sayakaha. Again from the Amar Kosha. So the white lotus, the red Ashok. That very Ashoka under whom Sita ji sits when she's in sorrow of distress and separation from Sri Ram. That is also a Bāla, an arrow of Kama. Now the Ashoka tree is said flowers when young damsels kick its trunk. So if you have seen an Ashoka tree, it suddenly sprouts blossoms from anywhere, without any leaves or shoots. And the myth behind that is if young girls kick the the bark or the trunk of the Ashoka, flowers start emerging from the Ashoka tree over there. So that sorrowless tree is basically an arrow of Kāmadeva. The mango blossom, of course, the mohar, the chuta, the fresh jasmine or Navamallika, and the blue lotus, Nilotpal. These are the 5 arrows that Kāmadeva is carrying. And these 5 arrows represent 5 qualities of desire and passion, which are basically, I'll not read it for we are short of time. So maddening, unmadana, inflaming or tormenting, tapana, pining or wasting yourself in love, shoshana, paralyzing, stambhana, and complete enchantment or infatuation, sammohana. These are the 5 arrows. And Kāmadeva is at full work over here. So this is from the Chennakeshava temple in Belur. So you see the sugarcane dandy here he's carrying, which is his bow. This is a bronze from, which is that Swami Malai. Basically, Rati and Kama, you again see that sugarcane thing over here. Yeah. So carrying. So this is a direct giveaway that this is Kāmadeva. And you also see 2 parrots as their vehicle. And in this iconography, you don't, at least I wasn't able to spot the parrot, but you can clearly see the sugarcane over here. And then a lithograph showing Kama. So you see the sugarcane, you see the arrows, you see the chariot with parrot. And the passion of, the color of passion is red. So probably they thought of painting the parrot red, but elsewhere he's depicted as green. So this Kāmadeva now is in full force and action over here, trying to break the mind of Shiva by agitating the whole universe. Now, what exactly is happening in the universe? How are these agitations working? So let's look at a couple of verses from Kāṇḍa and stop for the day. Madhudvirephak kusumaika patre papau priyam swamanuvartamana Shrungena jasparshanimitlitaakshim mrugima kanduyata krishnasara. So when these 5 arrows have been cast, and when Shivji is sitting in meditation, the gods are watching from top, Kāmadeva has infused the whole world with agitation. Kālidas in the Kumar Sambhava says, this is what happened. So Dvirefa is basically a Brahmara, a bee. So Brahmara has 2 R's in it. भ्र के नीचे जो एक र है वो और भ्रमर में दूसरा र है वो, इसलिए भ्रमर का दूसरा नाम द्विरेफ भी है. The one that has 2 rays in it is द्विरेफ. So Madhudvirefa kusumai kapatre. So following his beloved, the male bee drank honey from the same flower cup, as you can see in this image on top. And the black antelope gently scratched the doe, whose eyes were closed at that touch with his horn. So the black antelope is nudging his doe with his horns, and she closes her eyes. In the picture, the eyes are not closed, but Kāṇḍa says she closed her eyes with that nudge when the whole world was agitated by Kama. And then what else happened? Tadaurasat pankajarenu gandhi gajaya gandusha jalankarenu ardhopabhuktena bisena jayam Sambhavayamasa Rathanganama. The female elephants affectionately gave a mouthful of water, fragrant with lotus pollen, to the male elephant. And the Chakravaka bird honored his mate with a lotus stalk that he himself had half eaten. That's the working of Kama according to Kālidas. And that's exactly what Goswamiji is saying when he says that the bridges of the Shrutis were broken. Everyone's mind was agitated. No one knew what is happening. Shivji is still in meditation and we don't know. And at this particular cliffhanger, we stop for the day today and we open the round for questions. Yeah. I think, yeah, please.
I was just wondering that, when you talked about the sugarcane staff, so to speak, and also the parrot, both appear in the depiction of Tripura Sundari.
Yes, they do.
And I was wondering how does that translate into her sort of ayudha, so to speak,
That's the cliffhanger. We are going to cover that next time. Beautiful. I'm so glad that you brought this up, because this plot I'm not going to give away. We cover that next time. But you're absolutely right. This iconography is also that of Tripura Sundari. How did it land up from Kamadev over there?
Yeah.
I'll just give a clue. It goes via the Saundarya Lahari of Shankaracharya.
Ah. But
So we'll
also in the Bhagavad Puran, Shukadev is also the parrot.
He's
And in Devi Bhagavad, the Shuka
Yeah.
is actually the bird that she
Yeah.
is carrying. And, and this is what I've heard, that she says, when he keeps on repeating her name and she says that, not my name, take Hari's name.
Absolutely. And Shukadev over there also means that, so it is said that a mango tree, the sweetest of the mangoes is the one that has been bitten by.
Yes.
So since Shukadeva is telling us the story of the glories of the name, the sweetest fruit is the one bitten by Shukadeva, which is the Bhagavad.
Which is a Bhagavad. That's also true.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about, I know that the story about when Arjun sees all the people, all his loved ones at the other end of the battle that he has to fight, he wants to kill himself. And Krishnji finds him and he tells him that, this body is not yours to give up. It is a gift. It's been there and you have to do your dharam and everything. I can't be as eloquent as you were. I mean, you spoke beautifully today. It was a beautiful session. So I'm just kind of, so that was something that I kind of went with. I mean, this story was told to me, I was very young, probably in my teens, but it stayed with me. It kind of has cemented inside me. And now this is the first time I'm hearing the story of how Kamdev is approached by the gods and how, he's takes this decision that he'll do it. I don't remember the story, and it was not really a main story, so to speak. But here he's happily saying that, okay, if my body has to be burnt, so be it, So I'm just kind of trying to establish some sort of a sense, if I can, in the two different depictions.
Hatva va bhokshase swargam, jitva va bhokshase mahim. Krishna also says that in the Gita, if you die, you'll enjoy swarga. If you live, you'll enjoy the earth. Fight as a warrior. Don't be afraid of death. He's not saying that you won't die. He's saying don't be afraid of death.
No, so my question was more about, giving up your body. Like, this body is not, it is a divine being. You can't just, give it up because, you want to run away from something. That was his message.
Exactly. And he fought. Arjuna fought. But he also said that in the battle you might die, but if you die, you'll enjoy the glories of Swarga. If you live, you'll enjoy the glories of the earth. So don't be afraid of death, because anyhow, the soul is eternal.
So
Similarly, Kamadeva is over here saying, I have been prodded by the gods. The Shrutis have taught me that the highest service of dharma is to help out others. And in that doing, if I die, so be it.
Okay. Okay. I see. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. That's nice to understand.
Anything else? So we also did this little discourse around Haritalika, which we couldn't complete last time. So Aparna, you also saw how we got your name, right? So, anything else? So
Yeah, I
it's
thought I missed that
yeah.
story last time. No,
Yeah.
I thought I missed it because I didn't make it last time. So
Yeah. So we did it again today for you. Last time also I had made a reference to it. The one who doesn't even eat dried leaves. And this is a very beautiful episode. Yeah, I mean, I just got you just 2 verses of Kalidas, but just see the magic that he's created from them, because this is exactly how the world were agitated. Goswamiji also will talk about it next time. And I think, Preeti, you've put us on a beautiful cliffhanger. How did these parrots and sugarcane staffs appear in Tripura Sundari? So we'll cover that next time. Anything else from anyone?
I just wanted to add, no questions, but this point that you brought up, how good sense runs away when desire or everything kind of falls apart when desire or greed or any of these things kind of take over.
Kāmāturanam na bhayam na lajja.
Yeah,
Those who are invested
it is
by
so
love, they
true.
neither have shame nor do they have fear.
Yeah, and it is so true. I mean, no matter, and this kind of cuts across verticals. you know, I mean, you sing it today, we're living it today. So it's a beautiful episode today. It's really, really nice.
Thank you.
You know, Santosh, also the thing is about the madness of divine adoration also brings about, I'd give a damn about what the world, I'd rather be immersed in this madness and be drunk in this rather than be bothered about what the world thinks of me. That's another sort of dimension
So,
of
the
madness.
great acharyas put it very beautifully. They say that जहां जहां वासना आपको त्रस्त कर रही है, वहां वहां आप उपासना लाइए.
Ah.
So basically, the passions, the throes of passions that one can get tripped in, they can be channelized to the love of the divine within us.
Yeah.
So, you know, my guru in Marathi said something really good, that what the great ones have done is that they've turned their Vishaya Jala Panduranga.
Yeah.
So you turn all your desires.
Pahile Vitthali, says Tukaram. So my anger and it's interesting that Tukaram Maharaj chooses these two, Kama and Krodha, and says Vahili Ami Vitthali, because that's exactly what Krishna is saying in the Gita. Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. Beware of Kama and Krodha. Of the Shadripus, these are the two most dangerous ones.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so it's 11 now. We'll stop for the day. And as I said, we have a cliffhanger of what happens, how Kama is going to be burnt, and what happens to the iconography of Tripura Sundari. Yatra yatra Raghunath Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Krutamastakāṇḍalim Vāshpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Namatarakshasantakam.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you. Thank you for all your research, apart from the wonderful teaching.
Thank you so much.